If you ever wondered what's inside a hot glue gun, in this video we're going to go through all the pieces and actually reassemble one so it works again. Well, maybe not completely works, but at least all the mission critical pieces. Right here is the heated orifice. You push the big glue stick in and it comes out the small hole so you can glue stuff. This silicone tip helps prevent you from getting burned. Not all glue guns have this feature, but it's a nice feature. Now this next little tiny piece is the business end of the hot glue gun. It's the regulated heater. Pretty small, but it's effective. It's a heated resistor covered with Kapton tape or Kapton film. It's very high temperature resistant. The electricity, or 110 volts, goes through these two contact points. The contacts are pretty small. We'll go into greater detail later when we put them back together. This square heated resistor pushes into the heated orifice. It fits nice and tight because you want the heat to distribute equally and evenly. Then there's a real small steel plate that goes on top, so when it's all clipped together, it'll keep the heat in. The steel plate doesn't conduct heat as much as the aluminum extrusion orifice, so it basically helps drive heat into the components that are necessary. Now if we take a close look at these contacts, you'll see that they're brass clips because you're not going to be able to solder onto something that gets this hot. It goes far above the solder's heat point. So in order to reassemble this, we're going to have to take a pick and open up these brass channels. I'm using a sharpened masonry nail because it's hardened steel, and these make the best picks. Because they're hardened steel, the tips don't bend. Now we can insert the high temperature wire into the brass fitting. Then use a pair of pliers to crimp everything nice and tight. If you tried soldering this, it would immediately come done, and I wouldn't want to see that happen because the wires would probably touch and arc. It would give a nice firework display for a second or so. A lot of high heat applications are swagged on like this. Oh, we'll try plugging it in now. These things get hot immediately, and you don't want to leave it plugged in too long. They'll get too hot and then they'll burn out. A heater like this is designed to work with the aluminum. It'll push the heat into the aluminum, but if it's all by itself, it will get too hot and burn out. That's why I can plug it in for a little bit and unplug it. You can see the smoke. This thermal camera shows you where it gets hot first. Let's go ahead and plug the heater into the heated orifice. You'll see the heat distribute from that heater to the rest of the aluminum alloy. This metal clip holds everything together so the heater doesn't come away from the heated orifice. A pretty low-cost, simple design. That's why you can find these hot glue guns at the dollar store sometimes. Before we plug this in, we'll check it with the thermal camera. Then we can plug it in and you'll see the heat radiate from the heater out into the aluminum. You'll see the heater a little more red. That means it's a higher temperature, and then slowly will go through the rest of the aluminum alloy. The aluminum alloy is actually acting like a heat sink, pulling the heat into itself. I can definitely feel the heat now. If I take my fingers and just touch it real quickly, it's definitely there. This hot glue gun is calibrated for the right temperature to be able to melt the glue and no more. If you take a look at the fully functional hot glue gun, you can see that the tip is definitely hot, but if we pull the camera back, you're going to be able to see more heat inside the handle as well. This is the high temperature wire with the electricity heating up a little bit. If you dump some of this hot glue into a spoon, you can see the heat coming out on the plastic. The plastic that this heating element has to go into has to be pretty high temperature. ABS would be one of these plastics that is really high temperature. They use it in outlets as well. Because we shorten the wire, we'll have to move this grommet down just a little bit. We'll use the X-Acto knife, give it a little cut, and then move it down. This rubber grommet was molded around the plug. We can now start to refit all the components into the housing. Everything fits snug. This trigger is what actually broke on the hot glue gun, but you can see how it would fit in there. It's like an offset cam that pushes the glue stick through the orifice. When the housing goes on, it pulls everything nice and tight so everything is assembled. When you push on it, you can actually hear it clip. Now, if we wanted to put everything together, you could go ahead and put the screws in, but we've got bigger plans for this hot glue gun. Or at least we have bigger plans for the future for this hot glue gun. Now that the heating element works again, it's a candidate for the magic bins. It'll be stored away in a box with all kinds of other heating elements. There's parts from old stoves, heating elements from all kinds of things. So when I need to build a prototype with some sort of heat, this box comes in handy. When things are organized like this, you can actually build stuff. So next time somebody says, hey, can you build me something with a little heater in it? You can say yes. Well, I hope you enjoyed exploring the secret life of a hot glue gun. Well, I appreciate your time and thanks for watching.